Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Dear students, I, Dr. Shivang Patel, Associate Professor from School of Computer Science, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University, welcome you all from the Chaitanya studio of Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. In the lecture series of Python programming, in previous session we have started loop construct or loop statements, in which we have seen for loop as well as while loop. We have seen how to flow control passes when we are executing the for loop as well as the while loop. We have also seen some of the examples and demonstration. Now in today's session, we are continuing with some more concepts in the loop. Now suppose you are requiring to continue or to stop in between the iterations. In that case, this can be possible with the help of some of the keywords that you have to use in Python programming. So basically, suppose you want to terminate the loop whenever the loop execution continues. In that case, you have to use the keyword break. In some of the situation, suppose you are don't want to terminate the loop, but in some of the conditions that can be applied, or in between some of the iterations you want to skip. In that case, you have to use continue keyword. And suppose you are not requiring to do any action. In that case, you are requiring to use the keyword pass. So basically, Python supports these three keywords for skipping some of the part of the loop: break, continue and the pass. If you want to terminate the loop, in that case you are using the break. If you don't want to terminate the loop, but some of the statements, whenever the loop executes, you want to skip, in that case you are requiring to use continue statement. And if you want to do nothing, in that case you are requiring pass keyword, right? So all these three we will see with demo, so you can get more idea. So now we want to execute that break and continue statement. So here you have to write, say for example, first we are starting with the for loop or while loop. Here we are using while one. What is the meaning of while one? That you already aware. One, that is always this loop checking the condition true, and always the condition is true. Whatever the statements inside that loop, that will continuously execute. Now suppose you want to terminate the loop at some of the condition. In that case, you are requiring the break keyword, right? So we are doing this program if you want to print only odd numbers, right? And whenever you are even number, that can happen or that can be calculated. In that case, you want to stop the termination of loop. So for that, you are requiring this. Now the next statement, you can ask some value from the user. So I am creating one variable number. Now from user, you are requiring to take some value. You are requiring input function. Now as you already aware, input that takes the string data, you want to convert into integer because you want to perform some operation. It may be arithmetic, it may be comparison operation. So you are requiring to convert that string data into integer. So we are using here typecasting. So we are using integer here. Then after the input inbuilt function, now you can ask from the user, enter any number. Now user will enter any number, then after you can check for the remainder. So the remainder we are storing in another variable. Say for example, number modulo 2, as you already aware, modulo sign gives the result of remainder and it will store into this rem variable. Now you are checking if remainder, that is double equal to 0. So you are checking for what? You are checking for even numbers, right? So here you can check whether the remainder is 0. In that case, you can print. What you are going to print? You can print that number is even number and you want to terminate your loop, right? So here, if you want to display output in formatted string, in that case you are using this f, then after number that you have entered, that is even, and terminate the loop, that thing you want to print, right? So for termination you are using break keyword. Now suppose remainder double equal to 0, that condition is not satisfied. In that case what happened? The number is odd number, right? So in that case we are using else statement and print here the number that is odd. Again we are using formatted output. Here you can use number that is odd number. Now we can execute our code. So you can see here at the bottom in the output window, it will ask me for any number. Suppose I am entering any number 8. Now 8 is what? Even or odd? It is even number, right? So the output will be 8 is even and your loop will stop execution because we are using break statement. Again we are executing our code. Now suppose you are entering any odd number, say for example 3. So it will ask me again for the input, right? Again I am entering any odd number 5. It will again ask me for any number. So whenever you are entering the odd number, the loop continues and it will print the odd number. But whenever you are entering any even number, say for example we are entering 10, now it is even number. So in that case it will print that even number and the loop stops. So loop execution here terminates. So this is the utility of break keyword. Now suppose you already aware, if you are using the break statement, in that case it is used to terminate the loop in between the execution. But suppose you are requiring that loop continues, but in some of the iteration it will skip some of the instructions, right? So in that case you are requiring continue statement. So we are clearing here this output and modify this code again. Here after while statement and after entering the value of number, suppose we are checking if the value of number that is less than or equal to 0. That means you are checking whatever the value entered by the user for number variable, if it is negative or it is equal to 0. In that case you want to control that thing, that again it will ask for the number. So in that case you are entering continue. So what happened? Whenever you are entering the negative number or 0 number, it will skip whatever the rest of the statement from the loop and it will again check for the condition, right? Now you are checking, you are executing this code. Here suppose I am entering any number, say for example 5, so it is odd number. Say for example 7, it is again odd number. Now suppose I am entering any negative number, say for example -2. So it will again ask me for any other number. It cannot continue with the next step, that is remainder. So it will cannot calculate that particular remainder, but it will ask me for another number. So as you all already aware with the continue, so it will be used for skipping particular statements from the program. Now suppose I am entering any integer number. So here by using the break statement you can terminate the loop. Again execute this program. Now initially you are entering, say for example 0. So again it will ask me for any number. I am entering any negative number, it will again ask me for the number. Now suppose I am entering any positive number, say for example 2, it is even, and then after the loop terminates, right? So from this you can easily aware that if you are using that break statement, then loop terminates, and if you are using continue, in that case some of the statements that can be skipped from the loop. Now the next keyword, that is pass keyword. If you don't want to do anything, in that case you are using this pass keyword. Say for example you can see on the screen, basically we are using that number modulo 2 formula to check whether the number is even or odd. Now if the number is even, then you don't want to do anything with the code, you are not requiring any kind of output. But suppose the number is odd, in that case only you want to print. So what happened? If number modulo 2 is double equal to 0, that means after checking this condition, if the number is even, then you don't want to do anything, so you can use the keyword pass. And if the number is odd, then and then the else part will be executed and you can see the result, that is odd numbers, right? So this way you can skip or do nothing with the help of this pass keyword. Now the nested loop. Now what is nested loop? You are using loop within loop. You can use while loop within for loop. You can use for loop within while loop. You can use for loop within for loop. You can use while loop within the while loop. So this concept we will demonstrate with one example, so you can get more idea. So for that we are just clearing the previous output. Now another program that represent that nested loop. Basically the applications you can use to this nested loop concept for printing some of the patterns, then it can be also useful, this nested loop. Now suppose we are requiring to print some multiplication tables, right? Now only one multiplication table you want to print, in that case you are using only single loop. But what happens, suppose you are requiring to print multiplication table for multiple numbers, right? So here you are requiring two loops. So say for example we are using one loop and you can say outer, but before that we want to print multiplication table for which number. So for that we are taking one input from the user, same way as in the previous program we have taken input enter any number. Now here suppose you are entering 3, then what happen, it will print multiplication table of 1 and 2, right? So for outer we are using here range. So what in the range, the initial value start with 1 and ends with num. So say for example you are entering the value 3 here for num, then the loop starts with 1, then after it goes to 2 and it will terminate, because as you already aware the upper limit minus 1 whatever the value till the loop continues, right? Now we are using another loop, that is inner. Now we want to multiply that particular number with 1 to 10. So we are using here 1 to 10. So we are requiring here one more variable, one more value, that is 11, because for any multiplication table you are requiring to multiply from 1 to 10. Then after you are requiring product operation, that is multiplication operation. You are producting which value, outer value with inner value. So whatever the result that can be stored in product. Now you want to print that result, then you are requiring that print function. You are requiring formatted output, right? So you can use F here. Now you can use outer here. So it will print the value of outer, then after multiplication sign, then after inner value, then after equal to sign, that will print and product. Now what happened after execution of this statement, what happened? First of all, suppose I am entering number equal to 3, then after number will start with 1. So here outer equal to 1, then after inner loop, so inner loop will start with 1. So 1 into 1, that product will result, that is equal to 1. Then after this inner loop continues. So what is the step value or what is the increment value? As we have discussed in the previous session, that if you are not mentioning any of the value in the increment section, in that case by default it is 1. So every time that inner variable incremented by 1. So now in the next iteration 1 into 2, then after 1 into 3, 1 into 4 up to 10, this inner value that will continues. Then after 10 here, so the outer value, right, that will again goes to this outer loop and it will check for 2, right. So again 2 into 1, 2 into 2, 2 into 3 up to 10. Then after this loop stops with num, that is 3 that we have entered. So this way you can print the multiplication table here. Now this inner loop stop, and if you want to print new line for the next multiplication table, in that case you are using /n option, right. Now execute this code. So it will ask me for the number. So as we have discussed, suppose you are entering 3, then you can observe here two multiplication table that will be printed. First is 1 and another is 2. So this outer loop, that is the number value that starts with 1 and up to 2, it will go and terminates the loop. And for inner loop, the value starts from 1 and goes till 10. So this way you can use this nested loop concept in the Python programming, right? Now we are concluding our session. In this today's session, we have discussed how to use break, how to use continue, how to use pass keywords. We have also discussed how to use nested loop and how to apply nested loop with the programming. Now in the next subsequent session, we are continuing with some more advanced concept. Till then, happy learning, keep coding. Thank you.
स्वाध्यायः